know what to expect on the big three stories that everybody is talking about right now. Why are people all over the world refusing to self-isolate, knowing that they've been exposed to COVID-19? Did the federal government do enough to save for a rainy day, do you think? And if we cannot save a Premiership footballer on the pitch, can our health system handle a larger shock? Let's get into these stories. Our first story is a daily COVID-19 update all over the world. People are running away from self-quarantine. In Italy, hundreds of thousands of people fled from Lombardy, a region badly affected just hours before a lockdown was to go into effect. Partly in response to this, the Italian government has placed the entire country on lockdown, fearing the outbreak is getting out of control. In the United States and the United Kingdom, numerous cases are being reported of people refusing to stay in self-isolation, even after being ordered or advised to do so. And here in Nigeria, authorities are still looking for some of the passengers who flew in with the index case. They have refused to step forward and they cannot be reached because they gave false contact information. And so the government has released two names, Enwelunta Obumore Godfrey and Salami Abiodun Sadiq. They are two of the wanted passengers, and if you have any information about them, please call the Lagos State Government epidemiologist on 080 231 69485. 080 231 69485. People are endangering others, Aghogho.
Yeah, it takes us back to how every country that's been affected by the corona virus is going ahead with the way they want to prevent the spread from happening. And so they've Italy shut down the entire country. Israel say if you come into the Holy Land, you're going to be 14 days in quarantine, whether you like it or not. So I was discussing with someone, and they said maybe when you're going for any business meeting in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, what you have to do is just add 14 days to your schedule, because I remember that argument was put out by a number of callers when this happened, that the index case, the Italian, moved from Lagos to Iweko, and people were asking the question, why don't we quarantine people who come into the country from any of these affected countries once they arrive? And we said the WHO protocol was that when you show the symptoms, you call the number and then they can ferry you down there. But apparently that isn't working exactly right like it's done in Italy. And listen to the Minister of Health, Osage Hanire, when he announced that the second case, what is the good news is that this wasn't imported. This is still within the circle of the guys who had contact with the Italian, the index case. So big question, what happens if anything happens outside those people within the circle of contact? We'll widen those numbers, which are around 260, I understand, to probably 1,000, because they're going to start to look for other people. So people have argued it's just a matter of time before something happens outside the circle of the people who had contact with the Italian index case.
You know, in the U.S., a member of Congress has refused to self-isolate. His name is Louis Gohmert. He's a Republican. He met somebody at a political conference last week. That guy has now tested positive, and they told the congressman, and the congressman said he will not self-isolate. Now, when leaders are refusing to do the right thing for public safety, you can imagine what other people are doing, Aghogho.
Yeah, yes. I mean, they should lead by example. So, U.S. President Donald Trump, there's been some argument whether, because he met with some Republicans who had met with someone who had COVID-19, and the question was asked whether he had been tested, and they said he hadn't been tested yet. What will happen if
the U.S. president gets it? You know, there are all kinds of crazy stories like this. An American family came back from Italy, for instance. They were told to self-isolate. They refused. The daughter now went to her school party, Seth. Hey, God, it's school. The mother went grocery shopping, as in she entered market. And then she went to nail salon. Some people are wondering if this type of behavior should not be criminalized. But it's not just abroad. Oh, you see those ones in Nigeria now that have refused to come out. The passengers on the flight with the index case. Remember what I said in January when the state government said people coming from China should self-quarantine? I said I did not think it would work because I believe that many people will choose to behave like Patrick Sawyer. And now we're seeing it, Aghogho.
Yeah, and that's exactly what is happening. And no thanks to some of the misinformation going out on the nature of COVID-19. I mean, it's 97% survival rate, so it's not a death sentence that a lot of people have put out on social media for it to be. So we do urge those ones whose names have now been mentioned to make themselves available, and we can get through this as quickly as possible. I mean, look on the brighter side. China is getting reduction in the number of new infections, so
same as South Korea as well.
South Korea, yeah, you know. So maybe there's indeed light at the end of this tunnel.
Why are these contacts not staying in self-isolation? You people told me that they are afraid of government facilities. Okay. Are they also afraid of their own houses? We're talking about both the people abroad and both the people in Nigeria. Why are people taking these actions that could endanger the entire public? 012770993. Actually, we have a new number now, yes?
Yeah,
so
we
that's
have. It's
0700
0700 993 993 993.
I love that number.
Like
I could rap with it. I could rap with it. 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. I love it.
Maybe we should change the WhatsApp number too. You
To
rap with
what?
it.
Oh God. WhatsApp, by the way, it's 080 959 75805. 080 959 75805. We've got people calling us already. Hello. Thanks for calling. Welcome to the show.
Is this Nigerian info?
Yes, it's
Yes, it
Nigerian
is.
info.
Shaku Makushi.
Makushi! But there's no Shaku Makushi, eh?
First time caller.
First time caller, welcome.
Yeah.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Victor.
Victor.
I'm calling from Shasha.
Victor, why do you think these people are refusing to self-isolate? Why do you think they're putting the rest of us in danger?
Well, the reason is that since we are giving them free visa entry, what would you expect them to do?
Free visa entry. Who gave who free
Yes.
visa entry? Victor,
So when you give them free visa entry, that is what makes them to not to submit themselves for quarantine. So in a country like this, I think that visa entry is what is giving them the this thing. The impetus to not being quarantined. So that's one of the what I think.
Victor, what you think is absolutely wrong. Nobody gave anybody visa-free entry into Nigeria. In any case, that's not the reason that people are not self-quarantining. But thanks for calling us for the first time. Hello. 99.3.
Hello.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, Christian, my name.
Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I think people that are refusing to quarantine themselves and also abide by government regulations, they are having the spirit of Boko Haram. And what do I mean? You know, Boko Haram want to die, but he doesn't want to die alone. And they want to die with other people. It's not healthy, the society we find ourselves. People are virtually vessel of the enemy. Okay, so I don't understand why somebody will be having such thing and they want to take others with him. So it's very bad.
Let's talk to somebody else. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
Morning.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, what's your name?
Ayaba.
Okay. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Frank. Welcome.
Yeah. Okay. You are talking about why people are refusing to self-quarantine, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, it is basically because of ignorance.
Okay.
Ignorance of the fact that if you stay in self-isolation, you not only protect the society, you protect yourself, you protect your family and everybody. Now, another thing is the tension that is being created, by the news of the virus and everything. People are tense. They think that maybe, I want to die, this one is happening. But like I was said, if we can start
propagating a new dimension to the story. That is not a death sentence. That people have survived it. People are surviving. In short, the casualty rates are only among those that have issues, health issues, or are for a certain age. You understand? So it's not that somebody contracts the COVID-19 does not mean that person is going to die. So if you start pushing those information out, anybody that is told to quarantine will do so. But because they see that if I have it, then what's going to happen? So that is it. They want to run away from being held.
It's quite the
die.
thing.
That is it. They are running from death, which I feel is born out of ignorance.
And also very ironic, isn't it? Let's talk to Frank in Victoria Island. Hello, Frank. Hello, Frank.
Hello?
Yes, thanks for calling us. Frank, you're live on the show now. Go ahead.
Yeah. And the topic of discussion. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. I think people are not. They are not coming forward. They're hiding because it's more or less like a stigma now. People don't want to be stigmatized. So as a result of that, they decide not to
come forward.
And some of them might just go and be self-quarantined.
No, but you can't self-quarantine by yourself because the government has to supervise it.
Yes.
Thanks for calling us. Monday, hello, welcome.
Always be picking my call. You people are not picking my call.
Well, we've picked it now. You're live on the show now.
Yeah, you can go ahead and speak now.
That they are not quarantined. Those people, they are endangering the life of other people now.
Monday,
Okay.
we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting that those people should be, an official should fish them out. Trace them by the contact.
Well, the Nigerian ones, the address they gave was fake. The numbers they gave were also fake.
This Nigerian 13.
If you were in that sort of position Monday, would you submit yourself to be quarantined?
Definitely, I will bring myself out. But God forbid I am not in that situation.
But it's not just Nigerians. I also told you of people that ran away from an entire city in Italy and made the government shut down the entire country. I also told you about the US, even a Republican leader, a congressman who they told, Oga, you touched somebody that has coronavirus, and he has refused to get tested for coronavirus. So it's not just Nigerians, it's a human thing. But where's that thing coming from? Where's that behavior coming from?
Excuse me, I want to ask, does this disease doesn't have a cure?
Not yet, it doesn't.
It's a death sentence.
It's not a death sentence if you are the right age. And if you report on time and they're able to take care of your symptoms, it's not a death sentence.
Let those people come out and make the life of others be safe. Thank you.
Our final call is Malik. Malik says the leaders should be made to obey laws. Who should make them obey laws, Malik? Hello, Malik. I don't think Malik is there anymore. From runaway contacts to a runaway budget, Aghogho, the federal government has said that it can no longer fund the 2020 budget due to the crash in oil prices. The budget will have to be slashed to match the drop in oil revenues. Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed said she is part of a committee that will decide how much to cut the budget by and what the new benchmark price for oil will be. Other members of the committee are the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timipre Silva, and the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. China started the drop in oil prices by shutting down factories due to COVID-19, slashing oil imports. In response, Russia and Saudi Arabia have gotten into a price war to increase their revenues. When elephants like OPEC and Russia fight, we are the grass that suffers, Aghogho.
Yeah, the countries that peg their entire budget, their entire livelihood on the price per barrel of crude oil. When people talk about how volatile the black gold is, you don't understand until this sort of thing happens. And then an entire country's fortunes, aspirations, and what he hopes to achieve for one budget year, stares in the face that he cannot be able to achieve it. And so it was inevitable that they had that committee set up. So I've been looking at the commodities. Yes, everyone has been searching, going through pictures in their minds, what is going on with the stock market, which is taking a hit following the fall in oil prices, the worst since 1991, single-day losses also in the United States. I've also been looking at the currency because it's getting weaker also too, trading at 367 naira to $1 now because people are concerned if the oil isn't there, which props up the value of the naira, then what happens to the naira? So these are really tricky times for the economy. And so people have been also asking when the budget is going to be cut. I guess in the next couple of days we'll start to see the areas that will be most affected. Some of those outrageous things, in quote, that people have hit the National Assembly for, like the purchase of multi-billion naira vehicles, will that go down the drain, or will it also still be accommodated in the conversation?
Because if there's less oil money coming in to fund the budget, the government has to cut spending. But that's the big question. Which part of the budget will they cut? And analysts will tell you that it is almost never the recurrent expenditure. Government must pay civil servants salaries no matter what. And they even just increase the minimum wage, don't forget, and they will still keep paying overheads. So it's probably capital expenditure that will get cut. So projects, right? Meanwhile, many of the major projects for this year are already on hold because of COVID-19. For example, the Ibadan-Lagos Railway. The engineers went back to China for the holidays. And before they could come back, COVID-19 struck. So between missing workers and missing budget, we may not see a lot of projects this year, Aghogho.
Yes, and this cycle has happened before. It happened 2008 when the meltdown happened, but then we had a buffer because we had the Sovereign Wealth Fund and the exchange fund reserves were over 55 billion dollars then, so they could find something to work with. But the problem, I understand they're saying they're having, is like what happened when this administration came in 2015, and then several states began to owe salaries when the recession kicked in, and then we saw the value of the naira take a tumble. And so all of those things and scenarios play in the minds of people, say, for the projects which may not be completed as at when due, now to the risk of many states not being able to implement the minimum wage.
And some analysts are saying that government put itself in a bad position by not managing its finances well. So we've been seeing a lot of borrowing for the last few years. We've also seen government dip into the excess crude account. Normally, the money in the ECA would have been used in an emergency like this to help balance the budget. But most of it is gone, Aghogho.
They said spend it. I remember the argument with Goodluck Jonathan and the Governors Forum then, and several of the governors, irrespective of what parties they were, said, took the matter to court that it wasn't in the Constitution. We should share everything that goes into the Federation account should be shared. So now, if you ask them how much is left in the Sovereign Wealth Fund, the excess crude account, just a paltry, how much? Maybe less $2 billion or
we'll
$1 billion.
We'll have to Google it so that we'll give you the actual figure.
I can assure you it's not close to $5 billion.
Was this an unforeseeable situation, or should government have saved more in the past? Should government think about making cuts to the civil service, or should the budget cuts only come from projects? Our number is 0700.
I haven't even heard anything about the price in petrol. Pump price per litre.
That's another conversation for a different day. 993 0700 993 993. And you are right, after all. Subsidy rates will come down now that oil is very, very cheap. It's 27 minutes past 3. You're listening to the Big 3 on Hard Facts.
Stay right here on the Big 3 on 99.3 Cherry Info. This is the Big Three.
The Big Three. On Hard Facts.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Lagos on the Big Three today. We gave you your daily COVID-19 update. Now let's hear your thoughts on our second story. We told you that the federal government has said it can no longer fund the 2020 budget due to the crash in oil prices. The budget will have to be slashed to match the drop in oil revenues, Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed said. And she said she's a part of a committee that will decide how much to cut the budget by and what the new benchmark price for oil will be. And we're asking if you think this was an unforeseeable situation, or should government have saved more in the past? Should government think about making cuts to the civil service, or should the budget cuts only come from projects? I'm Sandra Ezekwesili.
And I'm Aghogho Oboh.
Our number is 0700 993 993 993. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah.
Good. Go ahead. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay. Fidelis calling from Ota.
All right, Fidelis. How is Ogun State today?
Oh, we thank God it's sunny.
All right. Please go ahead and tell us what you think.
Okay. I believe on the issue at hand concerning the slash on the oil prices. I believe this is as a result of it's going to affect us as a result of our government being unable to foresee the future. The time that we had a lot of monies, the time that those monies were being shared by the government agencies and the like, they were not thinking of the future. Now we are here in the future. The reality is staring at us now in the face, and we are now thinking on how to cut. And mind you, the government are not going to cut from their own expenditures. It is only on things that affect us that they are going to cut the monies from. You'll still see all the humongous monies that the budget for the big vehicles and every other thing still in the budget, I can assure you that. And then back to the first discussion, the COVID-19. I believe that the people were just being selfish. Because if you understand that this issue, when you report earlier, you can get treated. When you report earlier, you have an opportunity of saving even your mother. I believe it just boils down to selfishness.
Selfishness. Fidelis says. Maxwell is in Lekki. Hello, Maxwell.
Yeah, good day.
Good day. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Please go ahead.
The contribution.
Go ahead.
The issue of people being afraid of being quarantined, I think just because people need freedom and nobody wants to be withdrawn from the freedom of movement. And then the fear of being exposed to his friends or some relatives around. So that is just the reason I think. Nobody wants to stay indoors in one place, get locked up. Because of this, that's why they want to continue with their business as usual. So that's my thinking.
All right, Maxwell. Thanks for sharing it. Coyote is in Ikeja. Hello, Coyote.
Hello, Coyote. Okay, lost the connection.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, great. So I just want to talk about the budget thing. See, the thing is, all the unnecessary excessiveness in our budget needs to be cut. It's as simple as that. I'm also very happy for Nigeria because of the value added tax, the marginal increase to 2.5%, which is very good. Nigeria will make more money. But the unnecessary budgeting that was done last year and approved for this year budget needs to be cut right now, because there will be issues. There will be serious developmental issues, infrastructural issue, because we won't be able to do anything. So it's important that we need to come down to a round table for us to quickly talk now. Cut that budget and make sure it fits into what is happening internationally. I mean, the national income comes from oil. So what do you say? And our benchmark for oil income is based it's about 7.
Now, a benchmark for oil is about $56 a barrel. But now it's 30.
It's 30.
Mm.
And trust me, it will continue to go down a bit because nobody's buying oil around the world.
Well, as of today, the price came back up a bit, so maybe it will go back up. Fingers crossed.
So I agree with you. But the basic thing is our major international market partner are China and India. If they are not buying, it's as good as they are not selling. And if you have the best road that is not selling, it's as good as you don't have money. So we need to come to what is happening internationally. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kayode. Our last call is Peter. He's in Lekki. Peter, hello. Hello, Peter. Oh, unfortunately, Peter isn't hearing us, but his radio is very loud.
Yeah,
we have a lot of messages on WhatsApp.
Yeah,
yes?
we got messages on WhatsApp. Let's see who we have here. Please tell them the change begins with you. They should honorable cut funds in the budget. I guess he means their own part of the budget should be cut. Good afternoon, Sandra and Co. How una day? It's simple. The reasons why they are hiding is because they are scared of dying, even if its percentage of survival is huge. After all, it's not all that are quarantined that survive. Ambrose Uwani from California goes on to say, my opinion is based on Nigeria's lack of health facilities and also religious belief. The God I serve will not allow virus to affect me, or I'm covered by the blood of Jesus. And they walk away with their belief. Hi, Sandra, and I hope I spelled that right. Yeah, you got it. No, you failed. It's Fade. Yes, it's Fade from Houston. I think the reason why people are not self-quarantining themselves is because today's capitalist system makes it difficult to do so. Who is going to pay the bills if people stay at home? Nigeria is not friendly to make such decisions. People have to do what they need to do to make ends meet, and self-quarantining is not one of them. Good afternoon, Sandra and Aghogho. I think people don't want to be placed in a situation because they might still have some hustling to do. If they don't work, who will take care of them and people that depend on them? My thought, though, Indy Freke from Itira. A lot of people looking at the financial, economic angle to this surrendering yourself to self-quarantine.
It's interesting that Fade mentioned health infrastructure. Our final story comes from the weekend, and it's a story that the sports world is still reeling from, the death of Nasarawa United player Chineme Martin. As you know, Martin collapsed during a league match on Sunday, and he died because there was no medical team equipped to treat him and no ambulance to take him to a hospital. The sports ministry has announced that no matches will be allowed to hold if the venue does not have all necessary medical equipment, which must be tested before kickoff. They couldn't give him oxygen, and there were no defibrillators.
Yes.
When you talked about this yesterday, what was the reaction from the people on Checkpoint?
Yeah, shock. Even though we're going to have next week, we do something bigger on Checkpoint, this time to look at how people react when they see people in danger having slumped. I've seen some of those horrendous videos about the young man who died on the field. And the first thing that comes to your mind is they had no idea what they were doing. The ones who were giving CPR, whether they're just pressing his chest. And it just got my mind thinking how very few Nigerians know what to do, especially in the urban areas. In sports field, people should know exactly when an emergency happens, what to do. First and foremost, they didn't even, there was no ventilation around the place. They all gathered around him trying to do one thing or the other. There were noises here and there. They got him into a vehicle. The vehicle wouldn't start. They pushed the vehicle. They got ambulance written on this vehicle up. Obviously, it was self-made. Eventually, they got a vehicle from the press corps to get the young man. Unfortunately, he died. And this is not the first time we're having this sort of things happen in football. I was telling Chukudi that in 1989, the 12th of August, Samuel Kowaji died at the National Stadium together with 12 other Nigerians. And that also because they didn't have medical facilities on ground. Nigeria was banned for 1 year. The stadium closed for 1 year. And nearly 3 decades later, you still have the same thing happen. Amir Angwe, the same thing happened to him also when he was playing for BCC Lions of Boko. So you have all of this play out, and I'm shocked that a stadium, this is the professional league. So they do the checklist. This is what we should have. This is what you should have. And every team usually would have its medical team assigned to the team. So where was the medical team for the club he was playing for? Where was the medical team for the stadium? So many unanswered questions. I'm not sure a press statement from the football hierarchy will resolve many of these questions.
I want to look at this story from the angle of COVID-19. There's a lot to say about this story, but I want to look at it from the angle of COVID-19 and what's happening in places like Italy, like America. And in Italy, all their stadiums have medical equipment. In America, even their secondary school sports teams have full medical equipment. These countries have an excess capacity of medical equipment and medical personnel. And yet, see what COVID-19 is doing to them. From the reports we're getting from northern Italy, their hospitals are overwhelmed. According to some reports, they can no longer treat patients with heart attacks and strokes and other life or death emergencies because the beds are full of COVID-19 patients. So when I see what's happening to these countries with excess capacity, and I think about Nigeria, where just one man collapsing couldn't be handled by a stadium, it raises a question for me, Aghogho. Do we have the capacity to handle COVID-19 if it starts to spread the way it has in America or Italy?
Big question. And it's something that got me thinking. I mean, this would have been the right time to show where it's up. I have had people say, this was in faraway Lafayette in Nasarawa. Maybe the states that have more of these facilities, you probably will be able to deal with these things better. But I'm not sure that argument flies in the face of reason when you think about even in the press statement put out by the Minister of Youth and Sports, he said that under the arrangement, all match commissioners and host state FAs football associations are to inspect all medical facilities and match venues and tests to run to confirm that they are working before the commencement of any league game. But even in the guidelines in the setup of the teams and in the certification of match venues fit to be played professional football league, Premier League, not even Division 1 or 2, all of these things are supposed to be there. So that it happened, and now they're reiterating that it should have happened is something like when they say the horse bolting from the stable after the door has been unlatched. That's a big point.
Right now, our COVID-19 has gotten into 114 countries out of 195. The world is bracing itself for a pandemic, and every serious country has to start asking how many thousands of cases can our healthcare system handle before collapsing, without actually collapsing. For example, the Americans are counting the number of masks that they have for medical staff. They say they have enough to last about a week if it becomes a full pandemic. Has anybody in the Nigerian government started counting these things here? Let's ask you, do you think our health infrastructure can handle the type of outbreak that we're seeing in other countries if community spread happens here? If you are in the medical field, let us know what steps are being taken to prepare the health workers, the health system. Do you think government is telling us enough about the preparations for an outbreak? 01277-0993, 01277-1993, 01277-2993, and 01277-3993. And yes, you can still talk about the first two stories that we brought to you on the Big Three today. We've got George in Lekki.
Oh, hello, George.
Hi, Sandra. Good afternoon.
Hi, George.
Please go ahead.
So, first of all, Sandra, no more swimming for you. You gave everybody a stare. Let me just take it from the very first one. The issue is just stigma and stigmatization. The truth is that in as much as we've known so much about HIV currently, people still stigmatize when they hear things like that. So if I'm to sympathize with those who are in hiding, it becomes, once they've identified them or they've mentioned their names, from colleagues to co-workers, if they attend church or mosque, you see people giving them chance, like, even when we survive for COVID-19, it becomes almost impossible for people to still relate with you on a normal level. So that's the problem of Nigeria.
But now they forced the hand of the government to state their names because now we've announced their names.
Yeah, I think I support and I commend that as well. In as much as I commend the government, I'm condemning them because even if they give fake addresses and fake phone numbers, they have original passports, which has biometric. And I remember on the show we discussed about all these multiple biometric registration we all do. So basically from their SIM card or any line they want to purchase before now, they have that same biometric. Same fingerprint, it never changes. You know, to driver's license or any other kind of documentation they might have done in this country. So fishing them out shows that it is difficult. So this last one you're talking about the football, it becomes a government problem because all clubs, only 2 clubs, I believe, I think Aghogho can help me out. Only 2 clubs currently in the Nigerian Professional League are privately owned. The rest are all government owned.
Okay. Very true.
So they treat players like civil servants. So you find them, you know, they've been processed around, people sleep outside government houses, you know, demanding for payment and stuff like that. So basically, same way government deals with every other issue, is that same hand if dealing with the same football. Every other country, football is big business. You know, people make serious cash and serious money from it. There's some investment to the players themselves. But here, you get paid like a civil servant. You know, the government has to budget for you. And that's just the major problem. You find salaries are being owed, and they will tell you government uses it as propaganda for elections. I got my team from promotion from the lower division to the higher division. So it's not being run, it's just a political tool. So if the government likes sports, your team will do well. If your governor doesn't like sports, you are done for. And that's the major problem. And I pity the guy that lost his life, you know, because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary. Because one, to be honest with you, we had a program at my workplace, like we just to encourage CPR, first response, how to turn people on their side, you know, those things. They have no knowledge. They are not being taught in schools. Primary schools, you should know how to do CPR. I see accidents happen on the road. People just open the door and you drag people.
Yeah, and they take pure water and
spinal injury. Sometimes people die because of the rescue them. They haven't been better if they've been left. So another thing is that we have 112 in Lagos for emergency services. I've tried calling that number once. Trust me, it was not a wonderful experience. So I think the government really, 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 really needs to do more. I'm sorry before I go on the issue of oil prices. I'm happy because the truth is that even before now, the one when oil prices were up, they've not even been doing anything before. So the truth is that let's all enter it. It's going to affect me. Why it's going to affect me? Because spending power is going to be difficult. The jobs that get to be lower. Then at the end of the day, maybe this will push us Nigerians to the wall to demand for more. Just was it today? Last we were talking about Aghogho. You invited to be the lady for the social media bill.
Oh yes. You get
only 2 people are for it. That's the brother and one other
and the military.
So you can imagine. So maybe if we suffer a little bit more, we will become less relaxed and actually fight for our rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Olumuyiwa is in Aja. Hello, Olumuyiwa.
I'm fine.
Thanks for calling.
The last fella can talk too much.
Please go ahead.
Now, on the first issue, coronavirus, I remember in the 90s when I just had a just small sick neck, my landlady did the test for me. I said, but Amuyiwa, I've helped you to do your HIV test. I said, who asked you? Who said you should go and help me do HIV test? So people don't want anybody to know their status. That is why they are hiding. That's one. 2, I know that video can never be lied. I've watched so many videos where some particular people from particular country, they are still in the face mask. That means they want to purposely spray this virus. And now, I don't know whether it is in the news, so that Italy now, we have so numbers of Nigeria already contacted this disease. So I think the world is ruling under the power of Satan, whereby if somebody now is sick now, he wants another person to have it. In conclusion, our government, I know so many people in the House of Assembly there, that they have been senator now for almost 20 years. And now all they want is they want to buy Jeep. I think Nigeria should start speaking out. They should stop buying Jeep. We need medicine. We need many things. They should stop buying buying Jeep.
Stop buying Jeep. Olumuyiwa says, Anthony, why do you think people are not coming out or not self-isolating? We shared stories from Italy, from America, and right here in Nigeria.
Yeah, okay. My name is Anthony.
Yes, go ahead.
And what I would like to add is this. Nigerians shouldn't be overly bothered about the fact that some people have chosen not to come out, to be quarantined or to be treated as the case may be. If I look at the details, this flight came in on the 24th of February, and today is the 10th, making it somewhere around 15 days, which is the gestation period for infection to manifest. It's either the people that haven't come out have chosen, to deal with the problem themselves and face the consequences, or they are not infected, outright. Otherwise, we probably would have heard or known of more cases than this. But now, having said that, I think it is a big question on the authorities or the way things are done here, even at the airport. Now, I understand that people gave wrong or fake phone numbers. But if you're traveling, my experience is that at least you can't fake
your
to the
passport.
extent of not giving full documents. So if we really want to see these people, I believe that we can prevail on the airline to make public the manifest of the passengers that brought in all of this. And from there, we will pick out everybody. Even if they're not Nigerians, even if they were in transit, we should be able to have at least displayed in the national dailies all the people that were on board that flight, those that have shown up and those that have not.
Well, some of their names have been announced. So today, the Commissioner for Health announced the names of two of them. There are no pictures yet, but two of them especially have been announced by the Commissioner for Health. And he's asking for people to come forward if they have information about these two gentlemen. Commissioner for Health even called it a national security issue. That's why they listed their names.
It is. It is. Yeah, I am aware of that. I listened to the minister and the commissioner, but I think, my question was just two. Were they just two people that we have not been able to account for? The same method, the same approach should be applied on all other people that we have not been able
contacted,
to account for. And then we decide and know maybe there is something to worry. Maybe there's nothing to worry about them after all.
All right, Anthony, thanks for calling us. Our final call is Jabi, who's in Ikoyi. He has something to say about the COVID-19 as well. Jabi, hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. I think for people not showing up is human wickedness. And again, we have big risk at this time because when it first came out, at that time, my organization was doing a checkup. They say everybody should come and do medical checkup. Then there's a particular lady in our office. They tested her. They say she's positive. But could you believe, because without the preaching that it's not a killer disease, within 3 weeks, this lady died. We don't even know what happened to her. So,
wait, hold on. You're saying a lady in your office was tested for coronavirus and she was positive?
No. At the time, AIDS.
Oh, HIV/AIDS. Oh, okay.
Yes. So, since then, people were afraid at that time to even come for the medical checkup. Now, with this situation, and people are not showing up, some people will just say it's ordinary malaria. And by the time they go to a private hospital or any of the hospitals to go and do tests, and those people will be ignorant, they will say they want to do a test for malaria or all these things. They will affect those people with this, and even some hospitals will not even know because they don't have the equipment for testing of this COVID-19. Now, it's a big risk. So some people will just take it as it's ordinary malaria, so let me just go and do tests. With that, they affected others. And before you know it, it spread like a wildfire. So God should just help us for this nation and let people be sincere. If you are sick, let him make it compulsory that if you are sick, you have any symptoms, go to a hospital. Let the hospital test such person for this particular sickness, not for malaria any longer.
Yeah, well, hospitals, it's not all hospitals that are equipped to do the test, but I do hear you, Jabi. Thank you for calling to share your thoughts.
All right, let's go on WhatsApp here. Manuel from Oniru, who just wants us to know his name is Manuel. Manuel, we see you. Chris says, looking at Nigerian situations and poverty rate underdevelopment, most Nigerians don't travel to and fro a lot, unlike those developed countries, because of their disposable income and visa free. So Nigerians might not develop much spread of the COVID-19, but still we should think critically and not say blood of Jesus cover, as Nigerians like to say. Chineme, or rather Chike from Akute says, good afternoon. Our league should be stopped till functional medical equipment can be guaranteed in league venues. It is a shame we place little premium on human life in this part of the world. Oh, says R.I.P. Chineme. There is nothing to write home about this nation, and you ask as if you don't know about this country where nobody cares. I mean, nobody cares about anyone. I care about you.
We care about you.
Yeah, we care about you on Heart Facts. So please keep sending the messages. AY says, Sandra, who are we fooling in Nigeria by giving out names of two folks on the flight? These people use ATM and phones, and that means that they've always been traceable.
Yes, but they gave wrong phone numbers.
It's not right somewhere.
They filled out fake wrong phone numbers.
But then they
have as well.
They have the international passport, which is biometric. So the
But again, you also don't know if they filled in wrong numbers at the, with the international passport.
If it's the old one, the old passport, maybe. But the international passport, you need to use
your BVN.
NIN. What's it called?
NIN. Your NIN.
Your NIN. Yes. If you don't have the NIN, there's no way you can go through the new passport. Well, so maybe that explains why they couldn't use the international passport. Otherwise, well, in the past, people used to do runs, used to put people's information to fill their passport, but, well, plenty of food for thought.
Quite the thing. Well, thanks for being a part of the Big Three today. We have a tweet from Theophilus who says, Nigerian government is not being very sincere with Nigerians. Why keep the Italian man's name secret and hurriedly release two names of Nigerians that were on the same flight with the Italian disease carrier? Government is lying to Nigerians about coronavirus being here. That's actually false. And if you are one of the people who is spreading that, you are actually endangering the lives of Nigerians who could stop washing their hands, who could start touching their faces or hugging people or shaking hands because somebody from Agidingba told them that there's no coronavirus in Nigeria. There is coronavirus in Nigeria. There is even a second case of coronavirus in Nigeria, in Ogun State. That particular case is a Nigerian who was in contact with the Italian. We don't need the Italian's name because, well, he is in quarantine. The Nigerian government released the names of these people because they've been trying to reach them. They cannot reach them. And now they're trying to use you to help them reach them.
There are over
so
200
they don't endanger your life.
There are over 260 people in isolation right now. And it's a well-known fact that they're in isolation. People whose families know that they are there. So if they did not surrender themselves, then their names also would have been out.
And more importantly, the Nigerian government may lie to you, but WHO will not lie to you. What does the World Health Organization have to gain from conniving with the Nigerian government to lie to you about coronavirus? Think about that and then decide for yourself if you should be peddling false stories about there being no coronavirus in the country. Coming up is Community Report. Chukwudi is in Igando at a dump site that is quite the pain for the people in that area, yes?
Yeah, health and environmental considerations. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hard Facts will be right back.